lively. All right, God bless you guys. Good to see you all. Yeah, thanks for coming outside. This is a great turnout. And you came out even though that you had to accept the label of crackpot and deplorable. And but anyway, welcome to my world. I've been dealing with these kind of protesters for 30 years, and I want to just say I'm grateful that you all did come out, because we're going to change Massachusetts. Woo! We're going to restore this state. I'm Dr. Scott Lively. I'm a constitutional law attorney and a pastor. I hold credentials in international human rights that I earned at the University of Strasbourg in France. I have been to 58 countries. I've written 6 books. I've been on 1,000 radio and television shows all over the world. I have an extraordinarily diverse background, multidisciplinary work of all kinds. I have so many different hats that I can wear that I basically just call myself a missionary, because it's the only hat that really covers all of the different aspects of different careers, different jobs, different approaches that I've taken around the world. And what I want to talk about tonight is I want to talk about how we got to where we are here in Massachusetts, and how we're going to fix this problem. And this is sort of a broad brush, big issue, but we need to know what we're fighting in order to be able to beat it. And what we're fighting is Marxism. You understand this? Most people in Massachusetts, most Americans, they really don't understand what Marxism really is. They think, oh, we solved that, years ago when the Soviet Union shut down, right? And that's not really an issue for us anymore. You could not be more wrong, because every aspect of the culture war that we are fighting, all the things that are going on down on Beacon Hill, all of the things that you don't like about what's happened in Massachusetts are all coming from Marxism. What is Marxism? Marxism is a comprehensive worldview that is organized to be a contradiction and an alternative to the Judeo-Christian worldview. The Judeo-Christian worldview, built upon the Bible, that the foundations of Western civilization, take the perspective that there's a created order, that things are in place, there's a design to things, and that there is a God that we're accountable to. We have always assumed that to be true. The Founding Fathers built our nation upon that premise. When they issued the Declaration of Independence, they said in the preamble, it talks about nature and nature's God, and then it goes on to talk about that we hold these truths to be self-evident. And then it goes on to what those truths are. That is a natural law perspective of the Judeo-Christian worldview. The unalienable rights that we hold are rights that government cannot give us and government cannot take away, because they belong to us, because we're created in the image of God, and those rights are built into the fabric of the universe, and that we own them. For example, the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment is just simply the codification of the unalienable right to self-defense and defense of others. You have a natural right to defend yourself from anyone who would want to attack you. Government doesn't give you that right, and government can't take that right away from you. All of the Bill of Rights, all of the rights that are acknowledged in the Bill of Rights, which actually also doesn't give us any rights. We don't have rights because we have a Bill of Rights. We have restrictions on government because we have a Bill of Rights. That's what the Bill of Rights is. It's a restriction on government. And so the Founding Fathers gave us this country, and they built it upon these presuppositions. That we, because we are each individually created in the image of God, we have power and authority in ourselves. We are each unique, sovereign beings under the umbrella of his authority, and therefore we can enter into a contract to decide we're going to have a government, and that government is then going to serve us. That's the premise of the social contract theory of government. That we, and that's what the founders did. They created a contract that became our government. And that contract is that this government we put forward, that's supposed to be representing us, has limited delegated powers. It has only the powers that we dictate to it. We give the power to the government. The government doesn't tell us what to do. We tell the government what to do. At least that's the way things are supposed to be, right? We had local control. We had tremendous personal autonomy, self-determination, self-sufficiency. These were all things that define. Yankee ingenuity. When was the last time you actually heard anybody talking about Yankee ingenuity and what that really means? That's a concept that comes out of a culture of people that had control of their own lives and that were dictating to their government what it could do and not the other way around. That is the Judeo-Christian worldview epitomized. We are the first, best, longest-lasting constitutional republic in the history of the world. Because it's built on that foundation. And the entire world has copied us, all over the world, has adopted the freedom of speech and the freedom of the press and all these things. None of them do it as well as we do, but they all have adopted these things because these are the values that come from the Judeo-Christian worldview. Now, Karl Marx came along, and Karl Marx, he stood on a platform of Darwin, of evolution, basically saying that we do not come from God, we're the product of random chance. Evolution's idea that animals are evolving over time into something else, he just simply adopted that. He says, oh, you know, human society is also evolving toward a perfect utopian socialist system. And he said, since we know what that system looks like, why don't we just tear down what we have right now and build it now, right? So Marxism has always been, the purpose of Marxism, the goal of Marxism has always been the destruction of the Judeo-Christian civilization so that they can build a socialist utopia on the ashes. Now you have to understand that premise to be able to follow the rest of it, right? It's comprehensive for every element of the Judeo-Christian worldview. Marxism has an alternative. Evolution as an alternative to creation, gay marriage as an alternative to natural marriage, etc. Everything you can think of, right? What are these people doing when they were marching out here in front of the building, right? How is it? Let me finish the paradigm here so you can see that. Have you ever heard of secular humanism? I think everybody has heard of secular humanism, right? Secular humanism is the religion of Marxism. Right? Marxism has a comprehensive worldview with all the different aspects of civilization. They have an alternative to it from their own perspective, based in random chance and evolution, etc. Secular humanism is the religion of Marxism, and political correctness is the moral code of secular humanism, right? That should make some light bulbs go on in your head. And that will help you to understand how social justice warriors can act morally superior to you, even though they don't seem to have any moral foundations, right? They're being morally outraged in defense of immorality, right? They stand out there, they stand all over our society, the progressives, the social justice warriors, they presume to impose their morality on you. The speech codes that are on the college campuses and all over our society, those are blasphemy laws, literally. When you are violating speech policies that are politically correct, You are literally blaspheming against the religion of secular humanism. Right? That's what's going on here. When you understand, when you put it in that context, it all makes sense, and you realize that's why when a conservative comes forward and takes a position that when people are going to gather in Charlottesville and to try to stop them from tearing down something that's important to them. Now, I'm a Yankee. I could care less about Confederate monuments, right? But I do care about history, and they shouldn't be torn down, right? But when the people in the media, the people in the universities, the people in the government agencies, the elites of both political parties, they didn't need to be told what to think. They didn't need to be told how to respond to that, because they share a common religion, the religion of secular humanism. And they hold the common moral code of political correctness. It's just like Christians and Jews. If someone were to come forward and say, right, we're not going to care about these poor anymore, we're going to gas these people so they don't cost us too much, right? All these elderly and all these infirm, right, these useless eaters, right, we're going to get rid of them, right? Every Christian and Jew, you don't have to be told how to respond to that. You're going to respond naturally, right, from your religious foundations, even if you don't recognize that that's where they come from. You're going to react violently to that idea. We're not going to go along with that, and you don't have to be told, because you hold religious presuppositions even if you don't recognize them as religious. And that's the battle that we're fighting. Beacon Hill, all of Massachusetts, has been taken over by Marxists. What do Marxists want? They want the elimination of Judeo-Christian civilization, replacement with a secular humanist one. Right? So what do we have? Have they been successful? They absolutely have been successful. Right? Is there any longer, are the religious perspectives of the founding fathers taught to the kids in the schools? Absolutely not. Are the kids taught secular humanist values? Absolutely. Every day when they go to the public schools. They are being indoctrinated with secular humanist views. And they are being taught to follow politically correct moral codes. Right? That's why the kids will come home after a day at school and start criticizing you for being against this or doing that or something else. This is what's going on in our society. And we have allowed it to happen. The Republican Party is supposed to be the party of resistance. We're supposed to be the party of holding the Democrats accountable. And ever since Weld, we have not done that. And so what have they done? They have consolidated their power. They now have a supermajority in both houses of the legislature. They've got almost all the judges, and they've got the executive branch, because Charlie Baker is a Democrat in Republican clothing. He panders to them. He gives them everything that they want. They have a stranglehold on Massachusetts. And what have they produced with their power? They now dictate to us from Beacon Hill. All the power is there in Beacon Hill. It's a Marxist system. All power is centralized. They believe in the state. Now, do the people running Massachusetts and telling you how to live, do they believe you have the parental rights to decide what your children should be taught in public school? No, they don't. You know they don't. Right? Why? Because they believe in the power of the state. DCF, for example. Department of Children and Families, right? Look at what DCF is doing. That's not a Judeo-Christian worldview. The Judeo-Christian worldview is that parents have the authority, absolute authority. That parents are the ones who are telling the schools what their children are going to be allowed to be taught or not. How long has it been in Massachusetts since that's been true? Because the Marxists are in power, they are wielding that power, they have an iron grip on power. This is how they do it. And this is the secret then of how we're going to take it back. Number one, they pretend to care about the poor and the needy. Right? They pretend to care about the poor and the needy. Number two, they demand money from the federal government to take care of the poor and the needy. Now, and ever since Lyndon Johnson, our federal government has gigantic reservoirs of tax money. This is all set up by Johnson and the Democrats in order for the Democrats to take and hold and power in all the urban centers of the United States. And we still, most conservatives still don't even know what happened to us, right? That it isn't just Massachusetts, it's California, every place where the Democrats have been able to have a high concentration of people, they've been able to pull this off. Because what they do is they get all this money from the federal treasury because they're the ones who are going to take care of the poor. So all this money, every single person that they can get on any of these checklists, homeless, alcoholic, mentally ill, disabled, all the different lists, each one of those categories is an income stream from the federal treasury into the state that they control. They spend as little as possible on taking care of the poor and the needy, and they spend the rest of it on building a giant, permanent, socialist voting bloc that are all organized in public employee unions. And the public employee unions always put them back into power and then get paid off in salaries higher than the private sector has, plus outrageous benefits we're $48 billion in debt for right now. And that's an unbreakable system. It's unconstitutional in my view because you got both of the negotiating parties sitting on the same side of the table, but no one seems to have ever taken that up to the courts, and frankly, in a corrupt judiciary, you would lose in that argument anyway. So how do we break free of this? And here is the solution. We have got to fight for conservatism. We have to stop listening to rhino reasoning. We have to stop buying this argument that you have to vote for moderates, and when they say moderates, they're talking liberals. There's nothing moderate about these people. What do they mean by moderate? They mean that they support the killing of unborn babies in the womb, right? That's the number one thing. When they say moderate, they call it pro-choice. It's the choice of killing unborn babies is what the choice is. That is not moderate. It is extreme. It is extreme to the end of the scale, and all the other things that they want to do. But we, the people who hold conservative values, we buy into these lies, and we empower them by agreeing, oh, that a conservative can't win in Massachusetts. That is a lie, and the reason that they say it is because they can't defend conservative values because they don't believe in them. They have to convince you that only they can win, otherwise the conservatives would take over. We have a conservative voting majority in Massachusetts, and we always have. We've never had a liberal voting majority. What we've had is rhinos who have suppressed the conservatives so that they don't have competition, and you have no choice about who to vote for. There's a few times that we've broken through. Ronald Reagan, the only president to win in Massachusetts since Eisenhower, won in 80 and 84. What, by being a moderate, by being a liberal? No, by being an outspoken, full-spectrum, pro-life conservative. And the nation still talks about Reagan Democrats, who are conservatives that came over to vote for him because of the social issues. Not in spite of the social issues, because of the social issues. And just to show you this is not something that happened a few decades ago, Scott Brown proved it again when he ran against gay marriage in Massachusetts, and he won handily. And he only lost re-election because he turned traitor on us, and he went over to the left, and we voted him out as we should have done. Absolutely. How are we going to fix this problem? We are going to have to take the party back. And that's what began this year. I came back. Look, I don't have to be doing this, folks. I'm not running for governor so I can have money or power. I'd be a multi-millionaire if I stayed in my law practice in Southern California. I've got a skill set I could take anywhere in the world. I could be living on Fiji. I could be living in Scandinavia, anywhere I wanted to be. I'm doing this because I want my state back. I hate what's happening to America. I hate watching the Marxists destroy everything our founding fathers built. They bled and died. Right? Their lives, their fortunes, their sacred honor. Those weren't just political slogans. They meant it, and they did die. They shed their blood so that we could have a country where we could be free. A government that was under our control, and that's all been taken away from us. We'd have to have a revolutionary spirit to take that back. And that means we have to stop being intimidated by political correctness. We have to stop self-censoring when political correct people are around us. We have to speak plain truth, unequivocally and powerfully. And that's why I came back here to Massachusetts. And the number one priority is we have to take the Republican Party back away from the rhinos. We need to purge the rhinos from the party. And then we have to bring the conservatives back out of the woods where they went into hiding after they gave up because there was election after election. There was nobody to vote for. And so they gave up. Many of them aren't even registered to vote anymore, but they'll come back when we show that we're serious. This is time for another revolution. That's what I'm about. If by the grace of God, if I am elected in the primary, I'm going to beat either of the two Democrats because they're sure losers. There's a collusion going on between Baker and Warren and Maura Healey in order to make sure that Baker and Warren win with the highest possible numbers. This is all an anti-Trump strategy at the highest levels of the elites. We're talking at the elites of, the Bushes and the Clintons and the Soroses and the Obamas are laser focused on taking out President Trump, and Massachusetts is the key. That's why Mueller came from here. That's why Maura Healey's got 40 different lawsuits against the president. All of this is about taking out Trump. They're going to run Warren on the Democrat side, run Baker on the Republican side as the anti-Trump voice, and then he'll eventually fold into the Warren administration as Department of Health and Human Services Secretary. That's how I believe the narrative is, right? I'm the wild card in this. I'm the wrench in the works. They're doing everything they can to suppress information about me, and that's why the only hope we have to win on September 4th is you. The media is suppressing information about me. The party is putting out an official poll that doesn't even list me as a Republican candidate. I paid $25,000 to be part of this campaign at the beginning in order to be there at the convention. They're using my own money against me. They took a vote and they're shunning me. They're telling all the Republican leadership to have nothing to do with me. I can't use the mass victory offices. I can't use the phone banks. I can't use the voter lists. But you know what? The people that I represent, people like you in this room, we're not having it anymore. Right? We saw what they did to Fisher. We saw what they did to Mijos. We're not having it anymore. And if you get out there and you take these Boston broadside papers and you take our push cards and you get on the phone, you do the work. That we've gotten lazy, folks. We've gotten lazy about politics, right? That we fall into this trap of thinking that it's all about what the media says. And we fall into the trap so deeply that we won't even say anything that the media might twist around. We aren't going to go for that anymore. That's what I'm here for. I'm asking for your vote on September 4th, and please do everything that you can to spread the word that Scott Lively is on the ballot. And when we get into that office, we're definitely going to change things. We're going to turn the executive branch into a fortress of conservatism. I'm going to do battle with the Democrat legislature. I'm going to speak to the people every single day from the bully pulpit, just like Ronald Reagan did. And we're going to raise up an army for 2020 that's going to clean out that legislature and fill it with conservatives and take Massachusetts for Donald Trump. So help me God. Amen. Thank you so much.